Hello, this is the 2020 British Grand Prix Crystal Score race review here at Crystal Racing, and what a weird race that was. I've only just stopped laughing because, to be frankly honest, what happened in the last three laps actually made me laugh. I don't even know what to say. Yes, we all know who's going to win the championship, both championships, by the way, but let's go through it. Lewis Hamilton won the race, his third win in a row, 10 out of 10. Got a Puncture on the final lap, somehow kept the car going, held Max Verstappen off by just under 6 seconds on the checkered flag. And the funniest thing is that whilst he didn't, the one time he doesn't moan about his tyres having problems, his tyres actually have a problem. But all credit to Lewis, he kept the car going. He didn't, other drivers could have well have spun the car, or I don't know, suddenly, lost so much time that he would have lost the race, but not Lewis Hamilton. He won the race, but with a little bit of help from a misjudgment from Red Bull. Second place was Max Verstappen, 9 out of 10. He pitted with about a couple of laps to go to try and go for the fastest lap, but I'm going to give him 9 out of 10 because had he intervened and told the team that he should have stayed out and thought, you know what, but Lewis Hamilton might have a problem here, he might get a Puncture too, just like Bottas has just done a lap ago, Max would have won that race. If Max had said, no, I want to stay out and try and get Lewis because I think he's got a Puncture, he would have won. I know it's harsh and I know he's doing a fantastic job in that Red Bull, but a crucial driver decision could have got him that race win, but that will come with age and experience. Third place was Charles Leclerc, 10 out of 10. What, I know, how on earth has he got a second podium in that car? I will never know. Driver of the day. That car is so bad. You only have to look at his teammate and realise the SF1000 is a complete and utter dog. It's literally almost as bad as the F14T from 6 years ago. How on earth all weekend he's been driving the wheels of a car that is absolutely pathetic. It is reminiscent of the likes of John Lacey and Fernando Alonso. I can't even find the correct adjectives to describe his superlative performance today. Fantastic job. Yes, he is probably a bit too young to be leading a team, but on pure performance alone, he could lead the team by just dragging the car up the field like Alonso did all those years back. But of course, as for becoming a team leader, that will come with age and experience as well. Fourth place, Daniel Ricciardo, 10 out of 10. The Renault hasn't been that great this season, but today Renault actually turned up and got the car working, and Ricciardo delivered the goods. He got past Norris near the end. I'm wondering if Ricciardo might be regretting going to McLaren next year, because that McLaren was okay, but it wasn't unbelievably quick though. Fifth place was Lando Norris. Impressive qualifying performance yesterday, getting P5. And did some pretty good racing. But having said that, he didn't quite have the ultimate speed, and he was only just about holding off Carlos Sainz. So I'll give him 8 out of 10. Maybe, I don't know, if Ricciardo was in that car, he probably would have gone even further. Who knows? But 8 out of 10 it is. Esteban Ocon was 6th, 8 out of 10. Fairly impressive performance, but he did take a bit of a while to get past Lance Stroll, has to be said. But having said that, a big improvement compared to the previous races. And it looks like he is getting back in the stride of Formula 1 after 18 months out. 7th place, Pierre Gasly, 10 out of 10. Well, man, I don't... Well, okay, 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10, I don't really know what to say. Oh, well, okay, I'll give him 9 out of 10 because you know what it is? He really, really did do, he has really driven the wheels off the car today. I mean, yes, I know the AlphaTauri is a lot more balanced, more stable, but the thing is, though, if you give him a car that he can drive on the edge without worrying about it spinning out or understeering in the corners. This is what Gasly can do. 8 out of 10, 8th place is Alex Albon. Oh, wow, how on earth have you scored points today, son? I mean, you've been really struggling all weekend. Once again, out in Q2, just like in Hungary. And in the race, Albon was so far down the order. It was only thanks to all those late punches and retirements that Albon got up the order. As for the Kevin Magnussen incident, that was not Albon's fault. That 5-second penalty was just ridiculous. I don't know what on earth that was all about. But even so, I mean, when your teammate is finishing second and could have won the race had he not pitted, I mean, what are you doing being so far down the order, Albon? Seriously. I mean, without that pit stop for Max Verstappen, you would have finished about 50 seconds behind Max. Like, oh man. And the thing is, though, I think we all well know, though, Red Bull haven't, I mean, let's be honest. You could keep hold of that seat, but I don't see you improving at all. And the thing is, at this point, I'm beginning to wonder whether Red Bull are going to be looking at getting Sergio Perez or Sebastian Vettel in that second seat for next season, because this is so poor. I mean, having said that, though, it would be... I mean, you could consider it harsh if you got replaced by Gasly or Kvyat for the rest of this season, but... At the same time, you're not delivering the goods. I know the car is tricky to drive, but you've got to show a bit more pace than this. And you did finish behind Pierre Gasly, who's in an AlphaTauri. 5 out of 10 for Alex Albon, just nowhere near good enough. I don't care whether what you say about him, he's got to do better. 9th place was Lance Stroll, 6 out of 10. Considering he qualified 6th today, yesterday rather. I mean, or 7th, was it 7th? I can't remember. Well, or 8. Well, look. You would have expected Lance Stroll to at least finish in 2 places higher, but all race long he had no pace. He was... I mean, yeah, fair enough, the Renaults got past it, but he got beat by Gasly and Albon. I'm not even sure what to say. I mean... If Perez was all fitted well, I think Perez probably would have got the car in like 4th or 5th place. So I'm going to have to give Lance Stroll a 6 points out of 10. Yes, I know we got a bit of Hulkenberg, but Hulkenberg's been out of action for about 9 months. He's not driven a car in anger for 8 or 9 months, whatever it is. So of course he was always going to outpace Hulkenberg. That was a given. So for that, I'm not really impressed. 6 out of 10. Did very well 2 weeks ago at Hungary, but this weekend, a really mediocre performance by Lance Stroll. It's almost like he's going back to his mean average. 10th place was Sebastian Vettel. Another driver struggling. My goodness me, there's been a lot of drivers struggling at this track this weekend at Silverstone. 5 out of 10, yes. I know you could say it's harsh because his car broke down in practice and he couldn't do much practice running. But it really does kind of justify to some extent why Ferrari are dumping Sebastian Vettel, because even with limited running, you would expect someone like him to get the car a bit further up the field. But for a lot of the race, he was literally had his car plonked in front of Antonio Giovinazzi's Alfa Romeo. I mean, he literally was a midfield runner all race long. I mean, okay, yes, maybe you could say kudos to Vettel for holding off Valtteri Bottas on the last lap, but it's Valtteri Bottas, for crying out loud. We all know Bottas is very conservative with his attempts at overtaking. 11th place was Valtteri Bottas. Now, I know I'm going to sound harsh here, but I'm going to give him 7 out of 10. Whilst, of course, what happened to him was indeed bad luck, you've got to realise his tyres did blow up 2 laps before Lewis Hamilton's tyres blew up. You've got to realise that Bottas, if he was better at tyre management, could have delayed the inevitable by at least another couple of laps like Lewis did. The fact of the matter is that both of their front left tyres blew up because of, well, basically because of how much tyre wear the cars were suffering, and the fact that they were going on those tyres for almost 40 laps because, of course, everyone going in for pit stop on that 14. I mean, yes, I know Bottas was forced to run the whole length of the track. I mean, maybe if he only had to run on that flat tyre, for like about 500 metres before he went into pit lanes, maybe he could have, I don't know, salvaged a 5th or 6th place. But, well, the thing is, though, if you look at the start of the race, Bottas did get easily beat by Hamilton at the start, and it's going to be 7 out of 10. He didn't score a point. It's harsh, but the fact is he's now 30 points behind Lewis Hamilton in the World Championship race. And against a 6-time world champion, I think we can all pull our money very safely on Hamilton getting title number 7, equaling Michael Schumacher's record. And frankly, it feels like the championship is already over after just 4 races. Very disappointing. 12th place was George Russell, 8 out of 10. A very good performance today. Got past Kimi, of course. And not only that, because of Giovinazzi's time penalty, got himself all the way up to 12th place. Brilliant qualified performance once again. The man just lost Saturdays, and his race paces it could be better. He is getting there. He is improving. George Russell has got a bright future in this sport, and Mercedes must be wondering when it is, the thing is, like, he has to be a sure bet to join Mercedes for 2022, because of course at some point Lewis Hamilton is going to retire, and they've got to prepare George Russell as their next big thing. 13th place is Carlos Sainz. 8 out of 10, was very much mixing it right up the field. Was probably going to finish 5th or 6th until that tyre puncture. Very unlucky. I'll give you 8 out of 10. It did seem as if everyone was having problems with front left tyres today. 14th place, Giovinazzi, 8 out of 10. Was actually all over Vettel's rear end for quite a lot of the race. And a lot quicker than Kimi today. Just really putting in the sort of performance I've been waiting for him to put in for, basically since the start of this season. Well done, mate. But of course he did get that 5-second time penalty. But because I'm actually impressed by his performance, I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10, despite the poor result in the end. 15th place, Nicholas Latifi, 7 out of 10. Much better performance today. Still needs to improve his qualifying, but at least he kept his teammate in sight today. He didn't do any big moves or anything. Well, at least, he's already doing better than what Kubica was doing at this time last year. 16th place is Roman Grosjean, 5 out of 10. Please, Roman Grosjean, please retire from Formula 1 at the end of this year, mate. Your driving today was absolutely atrocious. Chopping people left, right and centre because, yes, I know you're in a car that isn't quick enough to be in the points, but there's no need to drive like that. And you're so lucky that you saw the checkered flag today, because of course, especially what your teammate did to Albon earlier on in the race, let's be frankly honest, Roman Grosjean should have been out of F1 at the end of not only last year, but the end of 2018. People sit there and say, his technical input is good and so on and so forth, but the guy's driving is just awful. He doesn't have that raw speed over one lap anymore. His race pace is garbage. And, well, to be honest, he could well be actually calling it quits himself anyway, so it's well overdue that Grosjean leaves this sport. 17th place, last place, and the only driver to be lapped, Kimi Räikkönen. Well, anyone who heard that radio message, the team calling him in and then telling him to stay out when he reached the pit lanes, it really does feel like the man is also going to be retiring from Formula 1, and justifiably, Kimi was absolutely furious. And then, of course, after the safety car, the rear end was having all sorts of issues. As we all know, when the car's a problem, Kimi's not really that able to drive around it, especially in the hybrid era. 5 out of 10, and then of course he snapped his front wing. I don't know how he snapped it. I don't think a big, the car just ran out of grip, went off the road, and then his front wing hit a curb or something. And, well, frankly, I mean, I really don't want to see Kimi in Formula One just plug on with this. I mean, the only way I want to see Kimi Raikkonen continue in Formula One if a team like Red Bull were decided to offer a seat, because right now Red Bull need a decent second driver, and let's face it, I do not want to see Kimi waste his time any more time in an Alfa Romeo. It is soul destroying. And then of course the retirements. Danny Kvyat 4 out of 10 crashed out, and from what I know there was no problems with the car, it was a driver error. And considering the fact that, of course, the Red Bull juniors such as Yuki Tsunoda, of course, who's been doing very well, and the fact that Yuri Vips has been in the pipeline for quite a while as a potential future AlphaTauri driver, this was a missed opportunity for Danny Kvyat. And once again, he was outpaced by Pierre Gasly, who, by the way, you've got to realise Danny Kvyat did start the 2017 season at the expense of Pierre Gasly. Pierre Gasly was the guy that Red Bull delayed his own debut into Formula 1 for the sake of giving Danny Kvyat a second chance, and Danny Kvyat absolutely dumped in the barriers. You could tell from his reaction when he told the cameraman to go away and started crying that it was his fault. And for a driver of Kvyat's experience, it is unacceptable to just crashing out on lap 14, no less. Like, man, Danny Kvyat also has to... the problem with Danny Kvyat is that whilst he is someone who's really most likely to be a solid midfield driver, he's not even driving at the standard of a solid midfield driver, and at this rate he could be gone out of F1 as well. So many drivers could leave Formula 1 at the end of this year, because let's be honest, what's the point of driving for P10 and just being stuck in a midfield? It's not interesting anymore when Mercedes are so far out in front, and, well, most of the teams are not worth a damn anymore. 19th place is Kevin Magnussen. What the hell was he trying to do? Squeeze Alex Albon around the outside onto the pit straight. What? Oh, this morning I was on Twitter going on about how Kevin Magnussen is so underrated, and then he goes and squeezes Albon. I mean, how on earth did Albon get a 5-second penalty? It's just completely wrong, because it was all Kevin Magnussen's fault. He squeezed him like a clown. What the hell, honestly, considering the amount of problems that were going on in the midfield today, Kevin Magnussen, with Haas's alternative strategy, could have easily scored, could have finished 8th or 9th, considering that Albon and Stroll and Vettel were all struggling today. He could have easily finished ahead of all of them, because all of those drivers were having terrible races, and he decided to go for glory so early on in the race, lap 2 or whatever it was. Tried to defend his line against Albon, who's got a faster car. For crying out loud, Kevin, use some common sense, man. You've got more than enough experience to know better. And then, of course, we get to the guy who didn't even start the race, Nico Hulkenberg. Shock return to Formula 1. Of course, Sergio Perez is indeed the first driver this season to be diagnosed with COVID-19. Get well soon, Checo. But my God, it was gut-wrenching to see Nico Hulkenberg not even start the race. Did an okay job in qualifying P13. Not like he was going to be right on the pace, because he hasn't done any pre-season testing or anything like that. And of course, he's missed out the first 3 races. Of course, still having said that, though, his neck was very sore after the yesterday's qualifying. So frankly, had he been racing, I think it would have been an achievement had he just got to the checkered flag itself, really. So I'm going to give him 8 out of 10 for I just feel like giving him 8 out of 10. It's not like it's going to... frankly, if he only does 2 races, I'm going to exclude him from the end of season driver rankings anyway, so it doesn't matter. 8 out of 10 Nico Hulkenberg, because I like you. And of course, if I'm going to give the race a rating out of 10, it was 4 out of 10, because let's be honest, the last 3 laps were just... I just laughed, because let's be honest, apart from the main incidents between Albon and Magnussen, Kvyat's crash and the last 3 laps, the whole race was actually quite dull to watch, really. quite frightening how easily Mercedes were able just to lead away with no friction behind. Everyone is just a mile behind. I mean, the only reason why Red Bull and Ferrari look close is because they've got Verstappen and Leclerc driving. That's it. There's nothing else to it. I mean, you got to realise Charles Leclerc only finished 1 second ahead of Daniel Ricciardo at the end. That Ferrari is not worth a damn. So, if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe to Crystal Racing, and I'll see you again next time.